Hey guys, so today's tutorial we're going to talk about blending modes, and there's a couple different blending modes we're going to talk about. One is the blending modes for brushes, so your brush blending modes, and the other one is your layer blending modes. Now they react very differently, so hopefully this helps you a little bit. I actually have never found a tutorial where it really talks about it, so this was kind of like one of those things where it was just self-discovery, and it drove me nuts until I finally figured out, and it's just like, oh, duh, okay. But hopefully this tutorial helps, and let's get going. Okay, so today we're going to talk about blending modes, brush blending modes versus layer blending modes. So let's take a look at where these are actually located. My brush blending modes are right here. And you can switch all these different ones to overlay, soft light, all those different blending modes. My layer blending modes are on this side where the layers are, and we can change the layers themselves into different blending modes. Now the way that these work, and I'll try to make this as non-confusing as possible, because when you try to explain it, for some reason it seems confusing, but it's really not. With the brush blending mode, the way that these work is this. If I take a layer, I'm adding a layer on top of this, brush blending modes do not work the way that they're supposed to, because they're working on a new layer and not on the color itself. Brush blending modes have to work on the layer that you're using. If you want, let's say if we want to change this yellow, if we want to make it darker, because we have a layer over top of this and we're using a brush blending mode, it's not going to work. So as you can see, it's more like an opaque color right there. So that doesn't work because I'm on a different layer. But watch, if I put this on the same layer, what happens? Now we're getting that multiply look, right? And the same thing happens here. We're getting that multiply look. So just continue there just like that. Okay? So that's really how the brush blending modes work. The key is you have to think, even though we're on a multiply, it doesn't work as a multiply because we're on a new layer. If, take that away, and we work on the same layer, let's just use a gray color. Now it does work. So you have to be on that same layer to make these blending modes with a brush work. As far as the layer blending modes, that's a little bit different. Let me change this back to normal. On my layer, if I get a new layer right here, and I change this layer to multiply, now this layer is going to show blend with what's underneath it. So still having that gray, we're still getting that same look as we did before. So let's do that with both. I'm going to let's see, put it, yeah, there we go. I'm going to put a layer over top of this side. I'm going to change this to multiply, and let's just kind of do this just so you can kind of see what's going on. Now I'll do the same thing on this side right here, but I'm going to do it on top of the color itself. I'm going to change my brush mode to multiply, and now I'm going to go over top. So if you take a look, we're getting the same effect, but you have to apply it differently. So if I do it, let's see, with this dragon, what I can do if I choose, let's say I want to add some shadows to the dragon. So maybe I zoom in here, and I'm going to double this dragon's layer real quick so I can work on two different layers and try both different blending modes. So if I want to add shadows to this dragon, a little bit more shadows, and I'm doing a brush blending mode, let's just take that same gray, I'm on the same layer as the dragon, and now I can just come in here and add some shadows, just like so. And we can see that we're actually starting to get quite a few shadows. Let's see, maybe I wanted to go a little bit further with this shadow. You know, however you wanted to do it. So that's how that one works with a regular sketch. Brush blending modes have to be on the layer that you're actually applying it to. Now, as far as layer blending modes, let me change this back to normal. Layer blending modes, new layer, multiply layer, and adding shadows. So it's the same look, we just have to apply the technique differently. Now, which one do I use? I actually use both. I probably use the blending on the layers a lot more than I do the brush blending modes, but I do use both. It just really depends on kind of when you're in the flow of the painting, you know, how you want to approach it and what you're doing, where you're doing it at. Sometimes I think the layers are easier because if you make a mistake, oh, I don't like that, I can just trash that layer and then I'm done. If I'm working on the same layer and I do something, let me change my brush mode. If I do something I don't like, then I've messed it up, and I can't, unless I can undo it, I cannot go back and fix that. It's on the painting itself. Sometimes it comes down to speed for each artist. One artist might like to use the multiply as they work on the same layer. Another artist might enjoy using lots and lots and lots of layers because you can fix layer issues a lot easier than you can having to repaint an image. So if you used the brush blending modes on one layer and you make a mistake, you might have to go back and actually repaint that area, as opposed to using the layer blending modes, where if you make a mistake on that layer, you can trash that layer, the painting underneath is still good, and then you can try again. So it really becomes the artist's preference. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something. If you liked it, please hit the like. If you haven't subscribed already to this channel, I hope you do subscribe. And if you want to support me further, I have a Patreon page where you can find my video process, you can find my PSDs, sketches, and more things like that. So until next time, appreciate it, guys. Thanks.